It happened about a year ago. Our final exams were approaching, and I still had a mountain of notes to revise. Normally, our school library closed around 5 in the evening, but because of the exams, the principal decided to keep it open until midnight for anyone who wanted extra study time. My house wasn't far from school, just a 10-minute walk, so I often stayed back to study in the quiet library instead of my noisy home. The silence there helped me think clearly. That evening, I reached the library around 6. I found a corner table near the window, opened my notebooks, and began studying. Page after page, time slipped away unnoticed. When I finally checked my phone, the clock read 10:03 p.m. I had never stayed that late before. Usually, I left around 8. At that hour, the library felt unusually empty. The soft humming of the ceiling fan and the dim yellow light made the place strangely eerie. I told myself I'd just finished the last few pages and head home. As I was scribbling a few final lines, a faint sound broke the silence. A dragging, uneven step echoing from somewhere behind the bookshelves. Thud, drag, thud, drag. I froze. My pen slipped from my fingers. Maybe it was the janitor or some other student. But when I looked around, I saw no one. Every desk was empty. I started packing my things quickly. The sound came again, this time closer. It wasn't footsteps, it was someone limping. I grabbed my bag and bolted out of the library. Outside was the long corridor that connected the library to the school's exit gate. The lights flickered weakly, making the shadows dance on the floor. Halfway down, I saw someone, a woman, standing near the far end of the hall. I couldn't see her face, just the outline of her figure under the dim light. She wasn't moving. She just stood there, still as stone. "Excuse me," I called out, my voice shaking slightly. No answer. I took a few steps forward. My pulse quickened. The moment I blinked, she was gone, vanished, as if she'd never been there. A chill ran down my spine. I hurried toward the main gate, heart pounding so hard I could hear it in my ears. When I stepped out, the street was completely deserted. That was strange. It was a busy area, even late at night. But now, not a single car, not a single person, just the sound of wind brushing through trees. I lowered my head and began walking fast. My legs felt heavy with exhaustion, my throat dry. Then, suddenly, I noticed something on the ground, a shadow that stretched along beside me, moving even though there was no one else around. I lifted my head. A woman was walking ahead of me. She was slow, hunched, her steps uneven like she was dragging one leg. Her clothes were torn, dirty, and her hair hung in tangled clumps that hid most of her face. For some reason, I couldn't overtake her. Something in my gut told me not to go near her, so I slowed down. My heart was hammering now. That's when she stopped walking. Without turning around, she spoke, in a hoarse whisper that felt like it came from the wind itself. "Have you seen my daughter?" Her voice made my whole body stiffen. I couldn't speak, couldn't even breathe. I stood there frozen, my brain screaming at me to run. But my legs wouldn't move. Again, she spoke, louder this time. "Have you seen my daughter?" I didn't want to anger her. In a trembling voice, I pointed far down the road and said, "She went that way." The woman turned her twisted neck slightly, then limped in the direction I had pointed. Her movements were unnatural, almost puppet-like. Within seconds, her figure faded into the shadows at the end of the street. I waited a few moments, then started running, faster than I ever had before. I didn't look back. I just wanted to reach home. But halfway through the road, I heard it. A scream. Sharp. Distant. It pierced the silence. She is here. The next thing I remember is waking up in my bed, drenched in sweat. My neighbor sat beside me. He told me he'd found me unconscious near the main street around midnight. When I asked him what time it was, he said it was nearly 2 in the morning. For the next few days, I couldn't stop thinking about that woman. Her twisted limbs, her lifeless eyes, her whisper. Who was she? A week later, while talking to the school librarian, I learned something that made my blood run cold. Back in 1999, a teacher's wife named Margaret Lane had lost her only child, a little girl who studied at the same school. The girl had died in a playground accident. Margaret couldn't bear it. A few months later, she disappeared. Some say she jumped into the river behind the school. Others say she went mad and wandered off. Her body was never found. But ever since then, people claim to have seen a limping woman near the library and the school gate at night, asking the same question over and over again. Have you seen my daughter? Every time someone saw her, they said the air grew colder. The smell of wet earth and old books would fill the corridor, the same smell that clung to my clothes that night. Sometimes, when I walk past that street after dusk, I feel the same chill crawl up my spine. I keep my head down and walk faster, pretending not to notice the faint sound of uneven footsteps echoing behind me. Thud, drag, thud, drag. Because deep inside, I know, if I ever stop to look back, she'll be there, waiting, still searching for the daughter she lost long ago.